Trump sides with Putin as Biden tries to stop a war. It took only 24 hours for Donald Trump to halt Russian President Vladimir Putin's dismembering of independent, democratic sovereign Ukraine as an act of genius. The former president often excuses him enemies falsely of treason, but his own goody rush to side with a foreign leader who is proving to be an enemy of the United States and the West is shocking by the Trump self-serving standards. As President Joe Biden reprises the fabled presidential role of leading the free world, the predecessor who wants to succeed him in showing Putin that impunity, dictator coding and hero worship will return if he wins back the White House. Trump's remarks on the conservative radio show on Tuesday will not only find a warm welcome in the Kremlin, they also will concern allies standing alongside the US against Russia who fear for NATO's future if Trump returns. Trump also sent an unmistakable message to Republicans who are already playing into Putin's hand by branding the current president as weak. That siding with a US foe in this way into the ex-president's affection ahead of the year's midterm primaries. Trump didn't take long to make sure Putin knew he approved of his movement of troops into parts of eastern Ukraine. Knowing that his comments would be picked up and burned around the world. China's leaders may be watching Ukraine with an eye on Taiwan. As the world's attention focuses on the escalating crisis between Russia and Ukraine, a spotlight has also been turned on an island halfway around the world, self-governing Taiwan. On the surface, there may be parallels. Both Taiwan and Ukraine are Western-friendly democracies whose status quo could be upended by powerful autocracies. In Taiwan's case, China Communist Party seek eventually reunification with the island it claims as a territory despite having never governed it, and has not ruled out doing so by force. For Ukraine, the threat is unfolding. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said they consider Russian and Ukrainians as one people. It's yet unclear how far he will go to realize that claim. On Monday, he declared two breakaway Moscow-backed territories in Ukraine as independent republics. World leaders themselves have implied connections between the fastest of Ukraine and Taiwan in recent weeks. Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen has said Taiwan could empathize with Ukraine's situation given its experience with military threats and intimidation from China. Half of Russia says it would be right to use military force to keep Ukraine out of NATO. As the world waits to see if Russia will invade Ukraine, an exclusive new poll of both countries for CNN finds that twice as many Russians believe it would be right for Moscow to use military force to prevent Kyiv from joining the North Atlantic Treaty Organization NATO, as say it would be wrong. 1 out of every 2 Russians, 50% says it would be right, while only a quarter, 25% says it would be wrong. The other quarter, 25% are unsure according to the survey. But the poll found that more Russians think it would be wrong than the right to use military force to reunite the Russia and Ukraine, two countries with a long and complicated history of being intertwined. It's a close call. Of 43% of Russia's said use of military force against Ukraine to join it to Russia would be wrong, while 36% said it would be right. The rest of the respondents say they don't know if it would be right or wrong. Perhaps unsurprisingly, most people in Ukraine disagree with the use of force against them. 7 out of 10 respondents there said it would be wrong for Russia to use military force to prevent Ukraine from joining NATO, 70%, or to reunite the two countries, 73%. Russia moving some forces and tanks into eastern Ukraine, Latvian PM says. Russian troops have moved into the eastern region of Ukraine that Russia has now recognized as independent according to the Prime Minister of NATO member Latvia and sources familiar with the latest US intelligence assessments. According to the information at my disposal, Putin is moving additional forces and tanks into the occupied Donbas territories. Latvian Prime Minister Arturs told CNN's Jim on Wednesday. By the definition, that's a crossing of sovereign territory into neighboring country. Pressed specifically on whether he was referring to the entry of additional Russian troops since Moscow recognized the two separatist regions earlier this week. Krins replied, "Yes, according to the information at my disposal, this is exactly what we are seeing." Two other sources familiar with US intelligence confirmed to CNN that additional Russian troops have in fact crossed the border into the Donbas region since Russian President Putin recognized the two regions and issued an order to develop peacekeepers into the Donbas on Tuesday.